This has been the most effective cue for our upright running. Many years ago, I stumbled across this video by Jonas Dodo, who was presenting in Finland about max velocity mechanics and acceleration mechanics. The majority of the video focused on the max velocity mechanics and how the stumble reflex, popularized by Franz Bosch, helps athletes stay and hit key positions necessary for elite sprinting. The talk bred drills, and a drill that Jonas talked about was the A switch drill. The two athletes he was working with, he wanted them to alternate their feet at the top of the move. It looked like how max velocity running should look, just in drill format. So what did I do? Like many of you coaches, I started implementing it myself. From the drills to the cues, I thought this video was the greatest thing ever. It wasn't until this past summer at a track meet we were hosting, and I was watching the athletes move, and it just hit me. If I'm gonna do the drills and I'm gonna use the cues, I need to make it applicable to the athlete's performance. The athletes that we had at the time were out of position, kind of in a desperation mode when it came to sprinting. And I knew I needed to make a change. Fast forward a couple weeks, I'm watching the Tokyo 2025 World Championship 100. And one of the best sprinters in the world right now, and someone I enjoy watching, is Kishane Thompson. Kishane is a muscular guy, strong guy, who has a great block start and really strong mechanics, especially frontside mechanics. You could tell he's been coached specifically on his mechanics and upright running mechanic pattern. The frontside mechanics cue and focus is very common amongst Jamaican sprinters. But it wasn't until I saw Kishane move that I felt there's something else that I'm missing. The athletes in Jamaica, especially Kishane, are not just switching their feet at the top. That is the rhythm that happens. But it actually comes from the heel recovery. Usain Bolt, Asaf Paul, the list goes on. The athletes get a really great heel to hamstring pattern that gets them to step into the ground and almost create that bounce effect naturally. They get to naturally load the bow, if you will, just by creating this kind of potential energy by how the heel recovers. When it extends to the ground, they can bounce off the ground and keep moving. So knowing the coach that I am, I had to take this right to practice. I was working with a group of college kids, and I set them around the laptop and I said, look, this is what I'm seeing. Do you guys see the same thing? And they said, yeah, I can see, because these are athletes that have also done the ace switch drill with me. So they know that kind of extension, hit the ground, switch at the top. That's what they know. But watching Kishane, I could see that switch was happening naturally. When the heel comes up, the other foot has to come down. It's impossible for both to be up at the same time. So when the recovery happens, the extension happens naturally. Now, how can we make it more forceful? That comes with cueing too. But first things first, am I crazy? So we went right to practice. I put him on the sidewalk and we did some reps. And these guys and girls were floating. They were moving, and it felt awesome to them. They felt free and open. Like, when things are working, it doesn't have to always be an immediate effect. But when it has that immediate effect, it always instills a sense of belief and understanding and relatability to the athlete. That's not something they're going to be quick to let go of, because they love how that feeling felt. I used this cue in a recent training session with a young lady, and she's a hurdler. Her biggest issue is keeping her speed between the hurdles. And that also comes from her being out of position. Now, we know that hurdling is a sprint event. So the better sprinters we are, the better hurdlers will be. And I had her doing some assisted drills, assisted running, and you could see how she was getting pulled out of position. There was a heavy horizontal velocity and horizontal focus with her pushing and her running, and not as much of a vertical. So I gave her the cue that I've been giving to the team, which is I need your heel to come up to your hamstring, and I need you to put it into the ground. Step over and put it down. She looked at me and she said, okay. And I love the results. Her free knee was coming through and she was in this natural switch position. And this is off of one cue. It's an almost instant change if you allow it to be. So my quick video for you guys is, if you're doing the A-switch drill, if it's working for you, obviously don't change it. But if you're like me that's implementing drills and you want to see them related to what's happening on the track, I would strongly suggest changing the cue. Change the cue from switch at the top to heel to hamstring. Heel to hamstring is going to create this load the bow effect, and you're going to be able to extend into the ground and just be on better rhythm, right? If our knee is pointing down or our knees are too far apart from each other, it's very difficult to run fast. But if we can get the timing right, we know that the sky is the limit. I hope you guys like that one. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, peace.